So your hang-on bunk filter has gotten relatively dirty and you want to go about servicing it. Well, today I'm going to show you guys how I go about servicing my hang-on back filters and how I avoid getting all of this solid stuff here back into the fish tank. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stay tuned. And if you guys like the video, like it and consider subscribing to the channel. All right, let's get into it. So the reason for a hang-on back filter being dirty could be, numerous. You could have a lot of fish. You could have a lot of solids in your waters that you're just slowly filtering out, like what I'm doing here. But a good way to tell that your hang-on back filter needs to be clean, and you probably already know it needs to be clean if you're watching this video, is if you look at the front part of this hang-on back filter here, you can see that there's no real water coming out through here. It's very just lethargic and just sort of barely flowing out on the sides. And you can also see over here that there's water flowing out on the emergency overflow if it starts getting backed up. So you have a pretty good idea at this point that your hang-on back filter needs to be cleaned, and I'm going to show you guys how not to get all this dirty stuff back into your aquarium once it's already trapped in your hang-on back filter. So to avoid all those solids flowing back out of the lift tube here where all the water is going up into the filter, when you unplug it and you start lifting it out, the water that is in there will come out of the pipe back into your tank, and you don't want all that dirty water to come back into it. So to solve that problem, what we're going to be using is just a regular old aquarium plastic bag, a fairly large one at that. All you really want to do is be able to put this underneath and around your filter intake and just lift it up all the way with some water in it. And as the filter is still running, it'll start pulling water out of this bag, and eventually it'll pull all the water out of this bag and the filter will run dry for a little bit. At that time, letting it run for a little bit dry it's not even dry, just not having any water coming into it. Once it's like that, you will take the filter, unplug it, and then you can safely remove it without having all the solids drain back out of there. So I'll show you guys how I do it really quickly. So if you guys pay attention to the top here of your screen, you can see that the water flow will slowly start to decrease, and eventually it will be a very, very small trickle to where there is nothing now. You might be able to hear that filter. It's sucking in air now because there's no more water coming in. So I'm just going to come over here, unplug it, and you'll hear it stop. So now that that bag is around it, I can lift up on this filter, and I am not going to have any of that dirty water fall back in. And you heard that gush right there, and you guys might be able to see it, that there's actually a decent amount of cloudy water in there, and all that cloudy water would have gone back into my tank had I not had this bag on it. So I'm going to go take this and I'll show you guys how I rinse and reuse and clean the filter pads that I have in here next, so that way we can get it set back up and going. And this should be like a 5-10 minute process at that. All right, so now that we're in the bathroom, we can go ahead and start cleaning out our intake sponge right here. And so you'll notice that I have some dead plant matter that's on here. I'm just going to take this off, throw it into the garbage can, and do the same for my intake sponge here, and just take all of the plants, roots, whatever gunk and debris it's caught and trapped up, and we will throw that away. This water you can just feed it to your plants or throw it down the drain or whatever you want to do. It's just dirty water that you can get rid of at this point. So now, if you have a clear intake tube at this point, you might want to put some pipe cleaners down there to clean out all the pipes and to make it look nice. But since I have a black tube, I can just sort of see how the water's coming out of it, and if it's clogged, really not that dirty in there, so I know it's pretty good. You can put that aside now. Now with my intake sponge here, I'm just gonna rinse this off in the water here, and you can see there's a little bit of brown water, but it's really not anything too substantial in comparison to what the filter pads are going to be. And you note that I am not using old aquarium water at this point because I have not found that to be of importance, and that in the long run you have bacteria on all parts of your aquarium and all systems of it, and the filter, while it is a very large component to it and helps move water around and access the bacteria, you're gonna have bacteria all over your tank. So that's why I'm using just tap water. I haven't noticed any problems. So you can see now how dirty this is. I'll stop this up to show you guys how dirty it actually gets when we pull it out. So that doesn't look too bad right now, but as soon as we start washing it, we'll dump out all that dirty water. It's really not that bad. So you can see that there, not too terrible. We'll drain that off real quick, and then we'll start rinsing this again. So you can see just how much debris was in this filter floss here. So this is what we're trying to avoid by using that plastic bag, by backwashing into our aquarium. So that was all stuff that I just pulled out of there, and that's pretty disgusting. So I'm gonna thoroughly rinse this, and we'll get back to assembling it here in just a second. And again, like I said, I'm not really worried about beneficial bacteria because it's all, you know, in your substrate, on your plants, on your rocks, on your glass, on the other filter that I even have in the tank. So it's not a huge deal if I, you know, kill off some of it here, because you're not going to kill all of it off in this time frame. And if you do, you have tons of backup. Also, it is worth noting, if you want to rinse this all off in aged tap water or with aquarium water, it's a good way to do a water change. But again, I haven't found any need to have to do that for my systems and what I keep. But again, up to you what you want to do. I'm not going to tell you that you have to do it this way or that way, but just showing you guys how I clean my hang-on back filters. Alright, this is looking much better now. I do like reusing these because it's not like after one rinse or one use they're bad. Like, they still are. I've used this probably and washed this probably 10 times now. It's still collecting a lot of solids and it has a lot of beneficial bacteria on it. So I know some people will take this polyfill that they buy, they'll use it once and throw it out. I mean, good for you. I mean, if you want to do that, you can do that. But I like reusing it and just using it over and over again until it gets to the point where it's just deteriorated and I can't use it again. So just a little note, we'll go to clean this one real quick and we'll get the filter assembled and put back together. So the last thing that we probably want to take a look at is the actual filter box itself. So all this here is just easily, you know, it's just solids that have accumulated there. With a little tough love there, you can get rid of it. And same on the overflow here. If I just start going like that, all of it will get removed. So we can go ahead and do that. The biggest thing that we want to look at when we are at this stage is we want to take a look at the impeller, because that impeller, especially if you have a lot of solids, could get clogged in the housing and you can start wearing unevenly on your impeller and cause issues to that. So we'll take a look at it and we can see here that this aquarium, so you can sort of see here there's some gunk on it a little bit, and you know, it's a good idea to clean that out. But this filter box, hang-on back filter, is probably over 30 or 40 years old. So you can, you know, clean this off a little bit, get rid of some of that gunk. The biggest thing is making sure you aren't wearing grooves into your impeller here, and that will be from particulate matters or things getting in here and just wearing away at this metal as it's in its housing. The other thing that we want to probably take a look at is down in there. You can see the hole where the impeller goes into, and if you have small enough fingers, you can get down with a finger in there and just sort of clean that out, put some water down there, rinse it out. If you have a brush, like a pipe cleaner, you can also use that at this point to clean it and to remove all of the solids that are accumulating down there. And you can also just, you know, take some water, rinse it down, take some more water, rinse it down, take some more water and rinse it down, and you should get most of those solids that are accumulated in that bottom part right there flushed out of there. So it looks pretty darn good. We'll just put it back together. We'll put the impeller back into its spots. If I can get it. There we go. And we'll put the receiver for the actual intake tube back into place. And at this point, I just fill up the filter with some water. Again, a little bit of tap water, especially, this is probably a quart or whatnot. It's not going to do any detrimental harm to your fish in your tank. But again, if you want to err on the side of caution, by all means, either pull some tank water from the tank and plop it in here and then turn it back on, or take some aged tap water and put it back on into the hang on back filter. So now we'll take our pads that we pulled out and we will stick those back into the filter. All right, and we can go back to the tank and get it all hooked up and back up and running. All right, we got our hang on back filter back into place. It is all snugged up and fit up, and we are ready to plug it back in, and we'll see how many solids actually come off when we plug it back in. We'll have a little bit here from where I rubbed it a little bit, but let's see. You hear it, it's just starting to pull water now. And it's just started up, and you can see a little bit of cloudiness coming into the tank. But now we can see what it actually looks like post cleaning. So you can see here before where this water was not spilling out at all. It's coming out at a very fast pace, and it's moving. And you can see over here, the water level is not as high as it was before, and it is no longer going over the emergency outflow that we have here. So I would say this is a job well done, and that we succeeded in cleaning out our hang-on back filter. If you guys have any questions about cleaning hang-on back filters or media to use, I'm using some polyfill. You could use sponges or things of that nature. It all is the same thing in terms of cleaning it. You can either use tank water or tap water, all up to you. Hope you guys have a great day, and I hope this was informative to you all, and see you guys in the next one.